Hey peeps, welcome back to the channel. It's DevOps Rob. It's been a fantastic couple of weeks since my last video. So I just kind of want to start this video before I get into the nooks and crannies of what I want to talk about today. I just want to take the time to say thank you to everyone that took the time to watch my last video. I think in terms of this type of content that I make, it's probably been the most popular video I've made. Another milestone as well is we hit 10,000 views on the channel. So shout out to all of you. And yeah, we've got loads of new subscribers. So welcome to everyone that has joined the DevOps Rob family. I really appreciate it. Now this is a follow-up to my last video. I talked about the process of going through interviewing with Microsoft, and I got a job offer and why I decided to reject it, right? And I had a lot of DMs, a lot of comments, a lot of conversation has happened as a result of that video there, which is great. This is part of the reason why I made the video, is I think more people should be aware of some things. But I think I need to clear a few things up just so that there's no kind of misconceptions about how things work in terms of tech salaries, specifically equity that comes with it. So I'm going to prefix this by saying I'm not a financial advisor, right? So I'm just going to give you my experience, which is, based in UK. I'm going to tell you everything that's UK tax laws and that type of thing there. So you'd have to check with your kind of local tax office and speak to a local financial advisor that understands that your own jurisdictions, right? So yeah, I think one of the things that I wanted to kind of highlight is, I put the video out. I've been participating in a few Twitter spaces which discusses tech salaries, and I think it's a good idea if I break down how equities work with tech salaries, or at least how my equities work, and just the things to look out for if you're negotiating a package, right? So some companies, what they will do is, if they're giving you equity, they might give you something called a restricted stock unit, or RSU, right? And that isn't actually shares in the company. It's sort of like a promise to give you shares, like should the company go on a public market, right? So you don't actually have the shares. There are other equity schemes within companies where they will actually give you shares, or give you the option to buy shares, and so on and so forth. But in terms of giving you shares, in the UK at least, there's a reason why a lot of companies opt to give you restricted stock units instead. And it's actually for your own benefit, because the moment you get the stock, as you get it as part of your package, it becomes income, right? So it's taxable as income. So let's just say you got $500,000 worth of stock as part of your equity package. If you have to pay the tax on that, and let's just say the tax is 45 to 50% of that. Well, how are you going to pay that unless you've got cash in the bank? The way that most people would pay it is they would sell some of the stocks to pay the taxes, and whatever's left is theirs to do whatever they want with, right? So you could end up with a tax bill that you couldn't afford to pay. And that's the reason why a lot of companies opt for restricted stock units, because essentially there has to be a taxable event before you actually own the shares, which means that you're not going to have to pay any tax until that IPO has happened or something like that, right? So that's kind of how it works. That's kind of why a lot of companies do that. If a company is offering you just straight up equity and they're not an IPO company, they're pre-IPO, just be aware of that, because they're not publicly traded. There's no market to sell your shares on to be able to obtain the money to pay the tax for that and then live with what's left over. The other thing I wanted to point out is a lot of people are asking what other pre-IPO companies are hiring, and I wanted to just clear this part up as well. This is an important thing in my mind, right? If you want to go and work for a startup, I think you need to understand the things that comes with it, right? Startups are operating at really, really fast paces. They are trying to grab as much market share in whatever industry it is that they can. And in order to do that, they have to move at a very aggressive pace, right? So the people that work at startups often have to work very hard, and the smaller the startup, the more hats you have to wear sometimes, right? So you may be a software engineer, but you may have to also do the role of a product manager. You may also have to be a DevOps engineer, and all these different hats. Maybe sales engineer as well. So if that is the type of thing you're looking for, then great. The bonus side to that type of thing is you get a lot of all-round experience, right? So I think it kind of helps. You get a taste of different things, and then you can choose which direction your career should go in, right? So that's a good thing. But it is hard work. It is a lot of work. I've worked at smaller startups before, and it was tough. Long hours. You take your work home with you a lot. So you have to kind of expect that it could be like that. The other thing I wanted to clear up about pre-IPO companies as well is, a lot of startups actually fail, right? So there's no guarantee that a company is going to IPO. So when you are negotiating a package and stocks and equity is a part of that package, I would personally, just the way that I look at things, I would personally just kind of look more towards the salary and the other perks you're getting, and take the equity as a bonus, right? What I personally wouldn't do is take more equity from a pre-IPO company in exchange for less salary, right? Because there's no guarantees that the company is going to IPO, right? Which means that you will have kind of a promise for a load of stock that may come to nothing. If the company ends up winding down, you'll be out of a job, you wouldn't have had any equity. So yeah, I think when you are going to a pre-IPO company, you have to bear these things in mind. If the reason why you're going there is equity, then I think you just have to understand that it's a gamble. I think that's very important to remember. And also the other thing is, there's been a lot of conversation about my last video with the equity I got, and people are asking me about my salaries, and I've noticed a lot of comparisons. And I think when you start to look at your salary and compare it to other people, I think there are too many variables to take into account. So I think I'd steer well away from, comparing like for like salaries. Because essentially there are different things that go into it, so where are you based? For example, I live in the UK. I tend to work, if I'm not working for foreign companies, I'll work for companies that are based in London, so I get a London rate of pay. But if you live in London, then the cost of living is a lot higher, right? You can go to a city like Nottingham or Birmingham, where the cost of living is a lot cheaper. But if you get jobs locally there, you probably won't get as much salary as you get in London. So, a lot of people are earning six figures, but there are some caveats as to, what goes into that and why. And some people that will say that they're earning six figures, maybe their base salary isn't six figures, but maybe they have like a bonus scheme, which again, isn't guaranteed, right? A lot of bonuses are discretionary. So, if the company's having a hard year, they can decide that they're not giving out bonuses in a year. So, yeah, you have to bear a lot of things in mind. But yeah, I just wanted to clear up a couple of things from the last video. I think it's important just to kind of note these things here. And the other thing I want to reiterate is I wasn't actually looking to leave HashiCorp. I was actually headhunted. And yeah, I think, if a company like Microsoft comes for you, then I think it's well worth exploring the opportunity. I think the good thing about going through that process is, as much as Microsoft is an exciting opportunity and the team were great and everything like that, it did make me appreciate what I have here at HashiCorp even more. And yeah, I think it was actually the perfect end to last year, because it's really motivated me this year to start on the front foot and really drive with providing value to our community. So yeah, that's it. I just wanted to talk about that. I will try and do the Apple video at some point. I know a lot of people have expressed interest in hearing about the Apple process and why I pulled out of that. But yeah, that's been it for me. Take care of yourself, people, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace.